Resident Evil Requiem has arrived, and as an OG Resident Evil fan who's played just about every mainline game, I can confidently say this is one of my favorite entries in the series, if not the best. Capcom does a great job introducing new characters, wrapping up old storylines, and blending two completely different playstyles into one solid package. The stealth and horror feel tense and controlled, while the Leon run and gun sections bring that action heavy focus we've seen in the recent remakes of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. There's also nice enemy variety and set pieces throughout the campaign. Now, with that said, it's not perfect. Some of my issues are nitpicks, but there are a few real problems that hold this game back. Still, I had a blast with it, and I'm already looking forward to the DLC. This is Anti-Meta Doom's review on Resident Evil Requiem. Resident Evil Requiem takes place across a variety of locations, both new and unfamiliar to the Resident Evil universe, and for the most part, they all hit their mark. Whether it's the creepy Rose Hill Chronic Care Center, the ruins of Raccoon City, or the sterile Arc Lab, each location serves the story well. The Rose Hill Chronic Care Center really stood out to me. It has a variety of zombie types, multiple stalkers, and very limited resources. Its cramped interconnected layout, both inside and out, give it a similar scale to the Spencer Mansion from the original Resident Evils. The story is strong, but only on your first playthrough. You step inside the role of an inexperienced FBI agent thrown into a situation that they're clearly not ready for. Some setups in the story don't make much sense, like being sent into a hotel that your mother died in with 6 bullets and no backup in a city that's been experiencing biohazard-like activity, but that's just video game logic. But what I will say is Grace's character growth is satisfying. She starts unsure of herself, but by the end, she's confident and decisive. Leon's story is straightforward from the start. Find a cure. And he shines with snappy one-liners and a strong story arc that essentially ends at the end of the campaign. Sherry Burton, on the other hand, feels very much like an afterthought, which is a bit disappointing considering how she played an important character in past Resident Evil games. Overall, the story works. It's a solid vehicle to move the game forward, and the runtime stays nice and tight without a lot of filler. I'm not joking when I say Grace's gameplay is what Resident Evil is at its core and should be the template for a new Resident Evil Outbreak style game. But that's a conversation for another video. In Requiem, Grace is always outnumbered, under-resourced, and a few hits away from respawning. Combine that with cinematic set pieces, evolving game mechanics, and a tense atmosphere, and it's a recipe for success. Leon's gameplay revolves around shooting limbs, kicking heads into walls, and parrying attacks with his new pickaxe. Both Leon and Grace can stealth kill, which adds some depth to the combat. Grace's stealth is all about timing, positioning, and using the environment, making those encounters feel tense and meaningful. Switching between first and third person view changes the experience. First person pulls you into the horror, especially in those tight corridors or when your resources are low. Third person can be tricky for Grace though. Her running animations make her stumble, which can pull you out of the immersion and the scares. But for Leon, it works perfectly. It gives you more awareness in the action-heavy sections. But both playstyles are distinct and they mesh beautifully. Enemy AI is also phenomenal. Zombies react to sound, they'll pursue you through doors, and each type has their own unique mechanic. In Raccoon City, the zombies might be soldiers with armor and headgear on, shooting at you with a machine gun. In the care center, zombies might sing to disorient you. The variety is very welcoming, and you rarely fight the same enemy for long stretches. Exploration is key. The map clearly shows you locked doors, nearby items, and objectives, and that's something that I appreciate. Puzzles are simple but effective, keeping the pace moving. Most key items are either nearby or provide clues to where they might belong. Overall, the two playstyles, the enemy variety, the camera choices, and the intuitive map make the gameplay loop satisfying from start to finish. Requiem isn't without its flaws, and the biggest one is the short story and the lack of content after the credits roll. I know, I just praised the pacing, but that was before I realized there's really nothing to do once the campaign ends. Sure, you can replay on Insanity or try different speed runs, but most players won't. I'm the type to explore everything in my first playthrough, and I finished the game in about 15 hours, and 4 of those hours were me away from my controller. Simply put, the game is short, and I completely understand if someone doesn't feel they got their $70 worth. Another issue is how clunky Leon feels at times. He would have benefited from a sidestep, a backstep, or some kind of extra maneuverability. Parrying works, but having another defensive option would have helped, especially during the fight with Hunk. And let me tell you, that encounter ends up feeling super awkward with the movement, with Leon and Hunk just awkwardly sidestepping around one another while trying to find an opening for an attack. I get that the Hunk was fan service, but a cutscene or a more dynamic fight would have worked much better. Item interaction can also be frustrating. You have to be standing close to or looking directly at an item for you to get the pickup prompt. Now, this means it's very easy to miss key objects, especially in tense situations. You might walk into a room, not notice an item, and spend unnecessary time circling the area to find it. It's a small thing, but in the game that builds tension through its scarcity, its survival, and its lack of resources and the unknown, it can really pull you out of that experience. Finally, Requiem leans really heavy on the nostalgia, sometimes a bit too much. Capcom pulled from previous games in ways that feel overdone. I mean, you have stalkers, you have repeated locations like the RPD, and the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center. The prison cell setup is very, very eerily similar to Resident Evil 2's prison cell setup. So everything just starts to feel a little familiar and a little repetitive. And I haven't even played Biohazard or Village, so it's no telling what they pulled from that. So, I know it's fun to revisit these elements. I know it's part of the charm, but it does feel like they're leaning on these old tricks a little too much instead of innovating. So, I love to see some of these mechanics take a rest in the next game and then just explore some different ideas. So, overall, those were the things that really irritated me about Requiem. Even with its flaws, Resident Evil Requiem is a thrilling experience. The real highlight is Grace's gameplay. Her survival-focused loop, low resources, tense stealth, and constant danger feel like classic Resident Evil. Leon's action-heavy combat is also a lot of fun and brings the high-energy style we've come to expect with the recent remakes. The Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center stands out as the best location. Its tight hallways, limited resources, and unpredictable zombie encounters create some of the best survival horror moments in the game, if not the series. But it's not perfect. The campaign is short, some mechanics feel clunky, and Capcom leans a little too heavy on the nostalgia. But even with those issues, Resident Evil Requiem is an incredible ride and one of the best entries in the series, and I give it a 9 out of 10.